So, on a chilly evening in February 2016, I met my future boss in the worst way imaginable for a beautiful, unmarried young woman like myself, standing in the line for the show of a to-be-canceled male comedian. In 6 short months, he would bashfully ask if I would be down for a threesome with a fellow coworker, his boyfriend, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The story isn't about me, it isn't about Richard, and it isn't about Jacques. The story is entitled The Boy with the Nightmare Before Christmas Tattoo. That's right. His name was Stefan. He had the absolute worst tattoo that I've ever seen of an enormous Jack Skellington on his chest and shoulder, and he got more pussy than all of us in this room combined, which, considering we're in an improv theater, might not be that impressive, but you get the idea. Another of our co-workers was Chloe. Chloe lived in a studio apartment with 8 other people, and she had a yoga mat for a bed. She was from Hawaii and had moved to Chicago to be a model, but in the meantime was making rent delivering pizza at Toppers with the rest of us. Did I mention, this roiling pot of sexual energy was marinating in a South Loop chain pizza restaurant. Chloe, beauty that she was, became entranced by whatever suave, Svengali-like energy that Stefan possessed, and the pair received multiple warnings from management after being caught engaging in sexual acts during closing on the security camera. They were an odd couple in nearly every way, and we were all deeply confused about it. But love is love, and I was also fucking one of our coworkers. Malik was a virgin when I met him. After we slept together, he asked me, "Aren't you a lesbian?" And I said yes, because that was the least complicated answer that I could have given him. And since that was 2016, which was 3 genders and at least 2 sexualities ago for me, it has only gotten more complicated in a sense. But as I said, the story isn't about me. So, one night, we were all at Jacques' house for a party, and Chloe suddenly asked if I could talk for a minute outside. She told me that earlier that day she'd snuck Stefan's phone while he was napping and snooped. Confused, I asked her why she was suspicious of him all of a sudden. And she explained that she had noticed that in addition to a regular passcode for his phone, Stefan had passwords and 2-factor authentication for text messages, his camera roll, and most of the apps on his phone. Now, right then and there, I was ready to call the FBI. This man was dating at least a dozen women based off of circumstantial evidence alone, and half of those women were probably married. I asked Chloe what she found on the phone, and the only thing that she could get into was his call log. All women's names. The rest of that night, I'll be honest, is kind of a blur for me. I took the train home not long after, or so I am told. Chloe, I later found out, confronted Stefan and almost had a full altercation in front of an Uber driver in the courtyard. I opened the next morning, hence my early departure, and I opened alone with my manager, Spencer. And I recounted the previous night's drama in disbelief to him. And the threesome had not been approached at this point. And he looked very surprised, but very pensive. Actually, that makes a lot of sense, is what he said. And I was like, why? And so then he told me that weeks previous, he and Stefan had closed together, and so he gave him a ride home. And so as he pulled up to the house, Richard noticed that 2 middle-aged women were smoking cigarettes and sitting on rocking chairs on the porch. And he asked very innocently if those were his aunts or something. And Stefan said no, and then he smiled and told him good night, and then headed up the steps into his home and into the waiting arms of his chain-smoking, sweater-knitting sugar grannies, apparently.
All right.
That's my story.